Hey guys, it's Jane. It's Friday today, so I'm here for a Friday Reads. It's been a super crazy week, and the week just pushes on even though it's Friday. Um, I haven't done a lot of reading this week. I have done none of my Bible read along this week. So now I have Numbers and Deuteronomy to catch up with before the end of the month. Yeah, is that going to happen? I'm not 100% certain that that's going to happen. But anyway, it's been a week, and the two books that I have read are The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I have no idea how you pronounce the C at the beginning of the transliteration of that name. So yeah, maybe I should have looked up somebody else's video and practiced that before we got here. But anyway, I didn't. That was a super fantastic read. Personally, I found the first half more compelling than the second half. I can't tell you too much about the plot because a lot of the vibe of the book is tension building. So there's a reveal at kind of the middle of the book, and the character of the story really changes from the first half to the second half. The first half is this whole build, red herrings, suggestions, hints, and then there's this reveal. It's not like a mega big surprise, but because everything's sort of been hinting towards it, but it's such a flabbergasting idea in the world of the story that there's a lot of tension. And then the second half of the book is a bit more action-packed, I guess, as stuff happens as a result of the reveal. The ending I really enjoyed. So I really enjoyed lots of the ideas in the book. There's some really interesting stuff that's being worked out about class. It's this book, for those of you who don't know, it's a Chinese book that's been translated, Chinese science fiction book that's been translated into English. And the beginning of the book is set during the Cultural Revolution in China. There's a number of really gripping scenes that are during the Cultural Revolution, and that really sets the tone for the rest of the book, even though most of the story is set years after, kind of sort of in the present day. There's some really interesting stuff about class in here, which maybe is inevitable in a post-communist China sort of story setting, but because of that background, the conversation about class is completely different, and I found that really interesting. There's also some interesting stuff about religion. It's probably not as interesting to me as the stuff about class, but that certainly gets a bash in this. And again, the Chinese perspective makes that a really fresh read. There's also, I'm sure everybody who's heard a little bit about the book has heard that there's a part of it is, part of the story sort of happens inside this video game called Three-Body. And I've been thinking about that this is like almost like an established trope in science fiction now, that part of the story is, it's not just that people play a game, but that, you know, action is progressed during the playing of this game, this multiplayer game. And so anyway, yeah, that happens. And I've read lots of comments where people say they weren't super excited about the game. But for me, the game, what the game was being used for was interesting. Whether or not it's a interesting game that they've come up with, I don't know, but what they do with the game is really interesting. So this is a big recommendation from me. If you have been thinking about maybe picking this up, I found it a really winning book. As I said, the first half I found more gripping than the second half. But another criticism that I've read that people have made is that the characterization is a bit flat, and I think that's probably true about the central male character, but there's this detective sort of dude in it who is hilarious and anything but flat. He's straight out of a Raymond Chandler novel, and he's a Chinese police detective, so that's fantastic. And the main female character in this she is yet again anything but flat. Trying to keep up with what's going on with her is one of the more interesting things in the story. Like, what she did, what? There's a number of times I read, she did what? So, yeah, but it works in the story. So I am looking forward to the next volume, just not from doing any pre-reading, but just thinking about how this story ends and what's left to do in the story arc. I have a feeling that the characters that are in this book are not going to be in the next book, because I think the next book probably needs to be set in pretty much the future, so not the present day. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and that's called The Dark Forest or something, and that's due to be released really soon, so I'm looking forward to that one. The other book that I finished this week was The Fyrelit Tragedy, which is the first in the Zakora books. I read this as part of a buddy read with Jemma from Aussie Bookworm. I've thought about it and I've decided I'm not actually going to say anything about this right now, because it's the first book since I started BookTube. This is the first book that I've really gone to completely blind. I haven't heard nothing. I knew nothing about the story, coming to it completely fresh, like in the old days when you used to pick up a book and you'd just read it and you didn't know anything about it. And I actually really enjoyed that experience. For all that it's good to have people's recommendations, so you tend to read better books, it's also really nice to just read something fresh. And Jemma has only just started. She just started a couple of days ago, and so I'm not going to say anything because I want her to have the experience that I had of just reading it fresh. So when she's finished her read, there'll be some discussion of that one. But for the time being, I'm just going to say I read it and move on. The book that I picked up, I just started last night, really in any substantial way, is The Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb, and I'm only a couple of chapters in, but I'm loving it. We're returning to the world of Fitz Chivalry that the Farseer books came in, but this is really set later in his life. So the thing opens, Fitz is in his late 40s, Molly's just turned 50. They are happily married with their kids all around them, and they've retired from active political life, and they're living under an alias out in the country. And the scene opens with a party, kind of their big Christmas or whatever wintertime big party equivalent, and Lady Patience is living with them. She's an old woman and she's a bit of an eccentric, but she loves her parties, and she's throwing this party. And but then on the first night of the party, their past intrudes on them. Something terrible happens, and yeah, that's where we're at. But it's just like stepping into a warm bath. All these characters that I remember so fondly from those earlier Robin Hobb books. So I'm really looking forward to getting a bit further into this one. But the other thing that I was thinking about as I opened this book and eccentric Lady Patience and her party is that I suddenly went, oh my God, I am Lady Patience. One of the reasons that I've had such an insane week is that it's one of my kiddos' birthdays tomorrow, and I've spent pretty much every waking moment in the last week prepping stuff for the party, because it turns out that my love language is throwing overly elaborate parties. It's not going to be Pinterest worthy or anything, but I've invented all of these new games to go with the theme, and I'm baking all this crazy food. I've got one layer of the birthday cake in the oven at the moment as I'm filming this, so I can't redo anything because there's not time. And yeah, there's only going to be half a dozen kids, but I've got bananas. And every time I stop myself and say, you have to stop, you have to stop accelerating. It's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the big bad. At some point, it has to stop getting bigger because you just go insane. So this year I've said, no, you're not making a piñata. This year, no, you're not doing this. No, you're not doing that. And now it's like the day before, and I am killing myself going, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this. And I know I'm going to get no sleep tonight because I'll be up doing the things. What is wrong with me? But anyway, I love doing this. Every year I love doing this. my younger boys, really last year was the first time I threw a proper party for him, and it was because he was little. I kept it simple because you've got to keep a lid on the crazy, yeah. Because and remember that it's actually for the kids. But there are no breaks when it comes to my older boy, and I don't know what to do about it. So here I've got some. That's part of one of the activities. I spend about an hour separating those things into colours because that's going to be super important. Anyway, I also joined Twitter this week, so I'm going to put my Twitter down below in case you want to, follow a crazy person. But that's all I've got to say about books and anything. And who knows, maybe I will come out of the other side of this after the party tomorrow and be sane again. Let's just hope. I hope you're all well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.